morning and welcome to Brandenburg News Network. I am Donna Brandenburg and it is the 28th day of May 2024. Welcome to our show. I hope you enjoyed the weekend and the festivities that we all enjoy. You know, I think Memorial Weekend is quite significant and probably more so to a lot of us than maybe to others, but to really enjoy the liberties that we have because people have brave men and women and such have given the ultimate sacrifice for us to be able to have those liberties. And I just want to express my gratitude to every person who lost their life fighting for this nation, as well as their family. You know, when we lose people in our lives, it affects or when somebody dies, it affects so many people around them. And the sacrifice isn't as never one person. It's a bunch of them, and it affects many people. The sadness that goes with it and such, but we need to really celebrate what they did, what people have done for our nation, and realize that there was an amazing amount of people who have given their lives so that we can enjoy that weekend. Anyhow, with that said, I'm going to stop talking here and get John on. Morning, John. How you doing?
I'm good. I did have a great weekend.
Did you eat a lot?
Too much. Yeah. Too much. Even though I say I'm cutting back, and I have cut back quite a bit, still too much.
Well, I end up working most of the weekend, and so we had a crazy amount of work we got done, and we had a Brandenburg barn gathering, the kickoff to the season. So in the summer we feed people on the weekends, and we have gatherings. So we have a lot of fun with it. So I was up by 5 o'clock cooking in the morning because I make quite a bit of the food. And so then by the time I got to the barn, you know, I'd already put in about almost 4.5 hours in the morning of working before I even got there. And then we had to set up and such. And then of course we got a lot of people that help out. So that's a really good thing, but makes for a great day, but a long day. And then the day before we were cleaning chicken coops out, and I don't know if, you know, people that don't live on farms, they don't understand the amount of work that goes into it. But we dug out our birds have not only their coops, but they have an aviary that they can go out in. So our birds have inside and outside basically runs, and they like to go inside at night, and then they like to be outside during the day and on perches and such. So we dug out the footing underneath the aviaries, and we had a nice group of people, but everybody was shot by the time we got to Monday. Just cleaning out the bird coops. But anyhow, what are we talking about today, sir? I wanted to say, so we've got John Tater on right now for legal defense, and then Courtenay Turner comes on at 10 o'clock with real history. So what are we talking about today, sir? We got talking before we got about the Libertarian Party and the nonsense going on right now in all the parties. You and I haven't talked too much about what happened at the Constitution Party National Convention, but I talked to Daryl Castle about it last week, and there were some really disturbing things that went on, but there were some really good people that stood up and stood for a lawful process in order to protect the voices of all people, not just the go along, get along group or the soft coup that was going on there. So what do we want to talk about the Libertarian Party? It looks like they chose Oliver or Chase Oliver, is that his name?
I don't know much about that. I used to be a Libertarian member, but I realized that the Libertarians are a whole lot different than the Democrats and Republicans. They have a philosophy that they expound and send out to people and say, this is what we are, but they're not really that. They don't really they don't really walk the walk. They're like the Democrats or Republicans. It's not much different. So that's why I got out of that party.
Well, and I tell you, so they're making a really big deal about the fact that both Robert Kennedy and President Trump did not win the nomination, and they say that he didn't gain support and was booed during speeches. So what I see here, quite honestly, is I see once again one big exclusive club, which where it's kind of a vetting process where we really don't have that in the Constitution Party. When Randy Terry showed up. He, though he's been with kind of has a history with it, we did it based on his strategy. Now, he came right out and said, I will not be in the White House. I will not win. And if I had to choose between Biden and President Trump, he said, hands down, I'd vote for President Trump. But he said, what I will do is bring issues to the forefront to help educate people. And I honestly believe that he is going to try to move people away from the socialist agenda into voting for the candidate which is going to win, which is President Trump. That's what he's doing. He's there to help President Trump. And when you, and at least torpedo Biden, at least torpedo the Biden agenda, okay? And bring all these issues that were done wrong by them up to the forefront so people can have to look at what was really done. So I really like that about him. You know, there's a strategy there. It's not all out, I got to win. Oh, I got to win this nomination, craziness going on, but he's actually, there's a strategy there. So I appreciate that. I think that Robert Kennedy might be in the same position, which I met him. He's a nice enough guy. I don't agree with some of the things that he's fighting for, clearly. But if he is in this, honestly, as a distractor or a disruptor for the socialists walking in, we don't know, because there's a lot of good guys that are playing bad guys. There's a lot of bad guys that are playing good guys. So and there's so few people out there that are actually researching what's going on or thinking about this with game theory. Randy Terry's game theory is spot on. Okay. What you're not supporting him for necessarily for president. You're supporting what he's doing in a strategy. I respect that. The Constitution Party does not have, unless there's a catastrophic failure, we have ballot access, right? But as a minor party, we can be an incredible disruptor to the major parties or the uniparty, which is basically not giving a crap about anybody. And if anybody thinks that either the Republican or the Democrat Party have any answers, I got a lot of news for you right now. It's the candidates that are going to win. President Trump has been beaten up more by the Republican Party than he has the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party is kind of pretty much quiet. It's the Republican Party that's gone after him. And it was the Republican Party that removed me from the ballot. To make no mistake about this. Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. It wasn't the Democrat Party. It's we got to keep Brandenburg out. Absolutely got to keep Brandenburg out because she's actually got the balls to actually get up there and say what needs to be said. And that's the truth, even though I am in fact a woman. It's the truth, and it's really sad. But President Trump, I support him. I've made no bones about that, even though I'm vice chair of the U.S. Taxpayers Party, which is a Constitution Party. And I was at the National Convention. I make no bones about the fact that I support President Trump. And I'm going to tell everybody why that is. I support him because it's the process. It's the American process. It's the lawful process that has been attacked. And it was the voices of every American. It wasn't President Trump. President Trump, as he said, was just standing in the way. A rigged election was about silencing each and every one of us who didn't have our vote lawfully counted. And I don't believe any of us had our vote counted. I believe that we're watching a simulation right now. Now, with that said, it's probably an completely AI run election. This is what I really believe. I believe that our elections are AI run elections, and that all the ballot stuff and all the nonsense going on is just a distraction to keep us all busy. I really do believe that but with that said, going through the process and seeing what was wrong, that's fine. Now we know what kind of where and how they were cheating it, sort of, kind of, but we're learning the process, the lawful process of bringing to the table the actual laws and the information on educating us on how it's actually supposed to work, so that we have the tools in our hand to make it work. That process by itself is very, very valuable. You go back to the law, and that's what we're teaching right now. And not anyone in any of these election integrity groups has actually quoted the law. They're not quoting the law. They're not going after it. They're just saying, well, this is wrong, that's wrong. Great. Now we know everything's wrong. How are you going to fight it? Pull the tools out to fight it. And the tools is quoting the law and doing a lawful process. The only one I know of that's really been doing this effectively is Scott Ogney. And he's with the locust standi investigation. Some of the other ones are minorly quoting it, but they're not doing anything with it. So it's kind of interesting, but we're being educated through the process, and that in itself is extraordinarily valuable.
Well, we are doing in our group. We are doing with the law. We are teaching the law. We are trying to push the law, and every time we talk, it's about the quote rule of law unquote.
Let me qualify that statement that I made, because I'm talking about all of these media groups that are out there.
Yes.
I should have included you in that, but Scott's gotten some airplay, but not enough. And it's the same thing with you. And I think David Jose does a good job. That group does a really good job because they are in fact quoting the law. But it's all the groups that are the ones that are hitting the news, the big news cycles. They're not doing anything. They're just out there talking and building audiences. But you've got Scott Ogney that's out there doing it. We've got you that are doing it. We've got people. I should really qualify it and take back what I said or qualify it. I'm talking the major media, second string
the major
stars. It's like a second string star to keep everybody busy. But there are
media has been
groups,
infiltrated. There's no doubt about it.
That.
By the CIA in most cases. They are in control of what the media is talking about and what the media is putting out to the people. The CIA is in a lot of control of a lot of things that are going on in government, and we have, number one, allowed that to happen because we haven't stepped up and said no. The problem is that the people are still afraid of government. And we got to get away from being afraid of government, because the law is really on our side, not on their side. They don't have anything that gives them support in favor of the law, even though the judges in most cases are corrupt, which they are, and the judicial system is corrupt, which it is. We, the people, need to be able to understand the law and put those people in office. If we don't want to run for office ourselves and be in office, put people in office that follow the law,
right?
The black letter law, 100%, and not give these bureau rats an opportunity to step up and tell us what the law is. We know what the law is. We've been living the law for years. Problem is, again, that the system is so badly corrupt that the media is involved in it, the judicial system's involved in it, all three branches of government are involved in it. They're all infiltrated. We have a problem with the entire government system. So it's not the blacks and the whites and the Chinese and the Japanese and all the other nationalities or all the other religions that are out there. It's the people against the government, and the people are doing the government is doing everything it can to keep the people divided. So we're chasing each other's tail and picking on each other rather than looking at the true enemy, which is the government. It's always been the government.
Right.
All the way back to the Revolutionary War when we started, it's been the government. And our founding fathers knew that. Our founding fathers knew that government, at Washington put it and I don't remember the words exactly but government is a fire that needs to be handled carefully. Somebody's got that quote out there. That's a very good quote. It's an unnecessary evil, basically, because we have to have rule of law. If we don't have rule of law, we have chaos and we have anarchy, and that we can't deal with either, because we have people that'll break the law if there is no law. They'll just do whatever they want to do.
Well, and to look at this too, it's like anybody that really wants the position badly should never have it. There's a whole lot of selfish what's the word I'm looking for? Ambition that people have, and that's why we've got words that are highly deceptive. Trying to appeal to what what they think is our it's a marketing ploy. They actually go through marketing for messaging instead of just getting up there and talking and telling the truth on how they feel. No, they have it all scripted out. They know what they're going to say to get the most amount of votes and to appeal to the selfishness within the voter instead of cutting this thing back to a lawful process. They're constantly appealing to the selfishness, not only of their own, but what the voters think they're going to gain for it. And that's something that I think we all need to check in ourselves. Are we voting for somebody that is actually going to be for the good of the nation? Or is it because we want more dollars in this area or that area that will come back to us? That's a bad policy.
It's what Benjamin Franklin said when that lady asked him, what kind of government will you have? And he said, a republic, ma'am, if you can keep it. If you can keep it, not if the government will keep it, but if you will keep it, if you can keep it. And she says, or he says, those that run for office are beggars and thieves and self-centered men.
Mm-hmm.
And we will bind them with the chains of the Constitution. The problem is we have people like Alan Dershowitz that says, oh, government officials lie all the time. They break their oath of office all the time. No big deal. What do you mean?
Yeah, that is a big deal. It's a big deal. And the larger it is, the harder it is to put it in check. I'm still of the opinion that we need to nullify about 90% of everything on the books. Nullify it. And, all we needed was one honest governor that didn't want the job, but agreed to do so. And we literally could have removed the whole thing from top to bottom and prosecuted the legislature for treason, which they committed, and then put this thing back on the rails. I mean, if we had taken the pause that needed to happen, I mean, sometimes when you clean things up, you've got to take a pause, take it down to the base level and rebuild. You can't build on something that's as a big of a behemoth as what we've got as this government, because there's too many people that are in it that will torpedo you as you're trying to clean it up. It's impossible until you get most of the dead wood cut out. It's like if you're growing an orchard or a tree, do you keep grafting on onto something where the tree's half dead? Or do you just start grafting new stuff on? Or do you cut all the dead wood out and then graft on to have new growth? You can't just leave the dead growth there. You've got to cut it out. And that's where we're at right now. There's got to be a serious pruning in order for something to grow.
What is the pruning tool that we have?
Honesty, integrity, first and foremost. And going back to the founding documents and going back to what worked, the simplicity of the Constitution.
Our pruning tool, our sharp knife, is Norton versus Shelby County. Cannot create a de facto office. And 99% of the offices that are involved in government are de facto. CIA, FBI, BATF, you name it, they're de facto. They have no constitutional authority to exist. That's our pruning tool. That's the tool that we can do to cut away all of the graft and corruption in our government. But we do need, and perhaps this is what's going on, and we just we're not sitting at the table right now seeing what's happening and how this plan is unfolding. We might be very pleasantly surprised that once Trump gets back in office, he pulls out Norton and starts clipping away at the bureaucracy of our government. by the use of Norton versus Shelby County. The government's afraid of it. The attorneys are afraid of it. The judges are afraid of it. They don't want to talk about it. They'll do anything they can to avoid that subject matter because it'll eliminate 99% of all the nonsense that's out there. Can never create a de facto office. All of those offices, and you name them, any one of them, are not allowed by law because they are unconstitutional. They don't fit in the Constitution. Supreme Court, 9-0 decision. So we have to get control of those people and see if they're willing to stand up and fight and do. The two tools are there. We have the power to do it. The problem is that we have bureau rats, beggars, thieves, and self-centered men that don't want to lose or give up their power. They don't care about the country. They don't care about you and me. They care about themselves. And that's what we have to bring out, the pruning tool, and start cleaning house. And that's where we are. We have the power. We do have the power.
And let's look at it this way too. It's like when you're in a garden, you have multiple tools you can use. We have things that we can use, and when we use them together, the organization can become very healthy. So, I mean, I'm really grateful for all that you have done to bring Norton forward so that people can see exactly how to address that part of it. And I think that the departments can be removed immediately, but one good governor could remove them all. A governor has to remove everybody, and so I mean that was the quickest path. That was actually the quickest path, which is why they had to get rid of Donna Brandenburg, because Donna Brandenburg was going to come in there and go scorched earth on everyone and watch them squirm and whine as they go out the door. I mean, that's the truth. It was going to be everybody out of the pool. We're not playing games anymore. This is done. And I got to tell you one more thing. I haven't said it on, and we can go to the Constitution. I've got it pulled up over here and get to Article 4. But I got to tell you, when I was up at Grayling, I haven't put out there everything I saw or things that were making me go, those things that make you go, But in the last few days, there's been a bunch of memes that have gone out on Latvia. And I'm going to post this today because they have a weird connection with Latvia up at Camp Grayling. Weird connection. And I was like, this is odd. There's plaques around, a bunch of plaques and memorials for Latvia. And so I was told that there's a connection with Latvia, like a sister city type thing going on. And then in the last few days, there have been some weird memes that have come out about Latvia being gone and such. And I want to post to this because there was evidence of Latvia all over that camp. The camp that was deserted, they had no military personnel on it. PX is on dial-up, nothing happening, completely deserted airfield. And then Latvia. There was that going on, and then somebody spilled the beans and said somebody had procured about I think they said, I think about how they actually said it, a whole bunch of drones, like a ton of drones, but nobody knew who owned them or actually where they were. So there's some really weird things going on there, but I'm going to dig into Latvia a little bit because I think that there's some crazy connections there that I was being shown while I was there. And it's way too close to Ukraine for comfort. And so I'm wondering if they're using that as a thoroughfare, that or Estonia, because the ruler of Estonia, that's another one that's just weird, really weird, because there was a picture of I think it's a Queen of Estonia or something like that, and Angela Merkel, and then there's one more, I think it was Queen Elizabeth's kids hanging out. So it's kind of a crazy coincidence, though we don't believe in coincidences, but there's something going on with Latvia and Camp Grayling. Put it on your radar out there, everyone, because this one's going to come up again. And if you can help me research that and bring something forward, I would really like to know what your thoughts are, because I think it was like 300 drones also that were purchased up there, and nobody seems to know anything about it. And I'm not sure that the person that said it was supposed to say it, but I was told I could, record, anything that was there, take pictures of everything. So that was sad, and should be concerning because everything there was pretty well empty. So I don't know where things are, but it wasn't visible. So anyhow, let's go ahead and go to the Constitution here and see.
Before we do that, I gotta throw one more thing out, and then we can do that. And that is that everybody out there, all of the listeners, especially in our audience, ought to know better than to vote for a party candidate.
Yes.
Just because he's a Republican or he's a Democrat or he's a U.S. taxpayer.
Or libertarian. You've got to think for yourself.
Got to think for yourself. Got to find out what that person says, what that person is, what's his background, what he believes in, and what he will do to move the system forward. Because there's an article on Yahoo right now about Trump is winning here and winning there, and all of these so-called swing states. And in this article, this Yahoo writer says that what we're doing, and I didn't mean Yahoo meaning the name of the company, but some dingbat, states that
some putz.
Putz is what it should be. Putz says that if we vote for somebody like Trump, we're going to go back to the 19th century. That's what Trump is trying to do, is take us back.
I can't believe that narrative is still out there. What a low IQ,
yes,
brainwashed, insane evaluation. When President Trump was there, the rightful president of the United States, I might add, look at how well the country worked. We didn't have any wars. Biden comes in and the Democrats say we're peace-loving Democrats, and, or whatever, the liberals, whatever you want to call them, the crazies out there. And they're like, we're peace-loving, we're for the people. No, you're not, because he goes and he bombs Syria day one. The afternoon after he was inaugurated, Syria gets bombed. Talk about a disconnect. That's amazing. It's just crazy.
But this is the kind of crap that's on the media and people that just follow sound bites of the television and programming, so to speak.
It is.
And all of listening to people like those that write for Yahoo, these putzes, as you put it, they have no idea what's going on. Or there's somebody sitting behind them of the CIA that's pushing this nonsense forward. And the general public, not the general public, because I don't think the general public's that stupid, but there are people that are out there that follow these sound bites and believe in this philosophy. I had a nephew who said yesterday at at our group, at our family reunion or gathering, that Trump's been indicted 91 times, and because he's been indicted 91 times, there's got to be something wrong there. I mean, he's got to have committed some crime somewhere. I said, how can you even talk that way? He's been exonerated on everything so far. And so the arguments that they come up with do not hold any kind of water or any kind of validity as to what's really going on. So people have to be very skeptical about voting because he's a liberal or voting because he's a conservative. What is he saying? What does he say? Not because what he says and then watch what he does. Those are the two criteria that we need to pay attention to when we talk about a person that we have authorized or that we have delegated this kind of power to them. We've got to see what they do and how they behave with power. We've got people that are in office all of their lives. Schumer, for example, came up with some nonsense just recently. But these kind of people that have been in office forever we need, and because he's a Democrat, and because New York is a Democratic state, and because, because what is this guy doing in office when he's there?
Nothing.
That's what
they've been in there forever, and they've done nothing.
Not for our country, anyway.
No, just
they've done a lot of stuff, but more damage than they've done good. And that's that's the information that we have to bring out. Of course, we can't rely upon the media because the media is corrupt. So we have to do our own due diligence and our own research, and we have to listen to these people. Oh yeah, I know. When I was a younger kid and so on and so forth, and I'd hear these politicians on the television talking about this and that, I wasn't real interested in it. But as I got older and realized that politics controls your life, whether you like it or not, if you don't pay any attention to politics, politics pays attention to you. So you better pay attention to it.
Well, it's like people say, well, I'm not into politics. I'm like, well, you drive on government roads that you're paying these people for. You're paying taxes, which they're stealing. You're literally a bird feeder for these people. Right. So you're in it, whether you like it or not. It doesn't make any difference. There's not one part of your day that isn't touched by politics. That's not one. Everything we have is regulated by it. Now they've got a new thing that they're trying to regulate and feed an additive to cows to control the methane. Back to cow farts again. And we're back to cow farts again. And so now we got to give them some sort of a supplement or an additive. The last time that we had the government giving additives for cows and cow farts or whatever we're talking about here, I'm like pretty extra sure when you go back to the 70s and we had the PBB nonsense here in Michigan, where did that come from? Came from the freaking government, because we knew people who were told by the state that knew what was going on to keep their mouths shut. This is the MO of the state of Michigan, and the government in general is telling good people to keep their mouths shut and go along to get along. You know what? I hope that I'm waiting for President Trump to get back in as the rightful president of the United States, who is currently the rightful president of the United States, to get in there and just start flying those mean tweets. Because it's like, and mercilessly, flying those mean tweets again and actually telling the truth of what's going on out there. I don't really want to have somebody to show up to a hostile situation with a Nerf gun. All right. It's like, you look at the guy, that special ops guy that was attacked by two guys that were speaking Chechen, and he shot one of them. It's too bad he didn't get both of them because they were attacked. You don't talk to these guys with a Nerf gun. We are at war right now. This is not time to act like kindergarten teachers. Kindergarten teachers deal with children. We're in an adult situation, and if people don't want to fight this thing as an adult instead of a spoiled, coddled little snowflake, go find your safe space, and let's let the adults deal with the problems here so that you can, in fact, be safe and not just have the illusion of safe.
The additive that you're saying that they're giving to cows, they should be giving to everybody in government.
Because they're all full of shit.
Every time they open their mouth, you get my drift.
They're all full of shit. I mean, it's what it is. If they open their mouth, they're speaking in their native tongue. Lies.
That's right.
So, okay.
All right. I guess we should get on to Article 4 because it is important.
I honestly would rather be two grumpy old guys here on here talking about this stuff for a while. It's cathartic. But, yeah, let's go back to what works.
Article 4, Section 1, full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state. And what this does is it makes whatever's going on in one state equal to whatever's going on in the other states. So it kind of makes a balanced system, that the federal government isn't supporting one state versus another state as they had in the past. And that Congress may, by general laws, prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, and proceedings shall be provided, and the effect thereof. It's kind of like the indirect tax that we have. An indirect tax is a tax on goods and services, such as a pack of cigarettes, but a pack of cigarettes, which has I don't know what the tax is. I'm not a smoker. So let's say the tax is 10 cents per pack of cigarette. It's 10 cents per pack of cigarettes everywhere in the United States, in every store, in every brand, and so on and so forth. It's uniform. And so this basically says full faith and credit shall be given to each state in uniform. We're not going to support the South or support the North or support the East or West, whatever. We're all balanced. That's a very important point. And the government doesn't necessarily violate this all the time, but it does violate it. For example, in California, when they spent the billions of dollars on their high-speed train, which they never got, which they never built, which the governor never used that money for that purpose, to build a high-speed train. It doesn't exist. They used that money elsewhere, but they gave that money to California. They didn't give it to Michigan, to in Illinois, to Florida, to every other state. They gave it specifically to California for that purpose. That's kind of a violation of Section 1. They're supposed to be balanced from state to state. You're going to do it in one state, you're going to do it in all states. And that would keep the government from buying power in one state, or buying elections, or buying the support of one state versus another state. So this is something that they have violated off and on throughout our country. And if you just look into what our federal government has been doing over the years, you would see that this Section 1 is already in violation. Now, Section 2, each citizen, or the citizens of each state, shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states. Same thing. If a person in Michigan, for example, is not or is charged a fine of some form for, say, speeding, and in California can use a law in California to, and what I'm talking about is Eugene Glacier, Montgomery Ward versus Eugene Glacier, which was ruled in Michigan that you could pay the government in whatever you decide as a species of currency. You could pay them in beans if you want. And in fact, in that particular case, Judge Sheehy of, I think it's Sterling Heights, maybe it's Rochester, said to Eugene Glacier, you could pay it in coffee beans if you'd like. That law should be used, or can be used, in every state of the union, from Michigan all the way through California and New York. The same law, the same court case can apply. That's what this is all about. Citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in several states. And so we need to be very cognizant of this law when the government uses their rules and regulations to come after us. And another one that's very prevalent today is the red flag laws. If the red flag law doesn't exist in California, it doesn't exist in Michigan either. You can't pass those kind of laws which violate the Second Amendment because this second Section 2 prohibits that. Persons charged in a state with treason, felonies, or other crimes who shall flee from justice and be found in another state shall, on demand of the executive authority of the state from which he fled, be delivered up to be removed to the state having jurisdiction of the crime. In other words, you can't run to another state and hide from the law. If they find you in another state, you have to be what we would call extradited, so to speak, back to the state where you violated the law and be tried for that violation in that particular state. Remember, we have a country that has states' rights, not federal government rights. We have put the federal government, the states have put the federal government together to kind of oversee things like border protection, Biden, to protect us from invasion, Biden, and so on and so forth, but not to make one law or one particular situation different from another particular situation in a different state. The federal government was put together to protect us from foreign situations, not state by state or to regulate states. We have screwed that up. We have allowed the federal government, through the use of the funny money system, to do exactly that, to buy off states, buy off politicians, which they have done very well, or to compromise certain politicians so they would behave, public functionaries, so they would behave certain ways. We have to go back to the Constitution and stop that nonsense. No person held in service or labor in one state under the laws thereof, escaping to another, shall, in consequences of the laws and regulations therein, be, and I'm reading from my book rather than on the screen, discharged from the service or labor, but shall be delivered up on claims of the parties to whom such services or labors may be due. Again, it goes back to where the crime was committed, who committed the crime, what his responsibility, what that person's labor responsibility was, and that they're sent back to the original state where that crime was committed, and they performed the labor necessary at that time. Section 3, no state may be admitted by Congress into the Union, but no new state shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of another state, nor any state be formed by the junction or of two or more states or parts of states without the consent of the legislature of the state concerned as well as of Congress. I'm going to throw something out here that many people haven't heard, and maybe you haven't heard, but Ohio is not a state.
I have heard that.
Ohio is a territory. And it's always been a territory. But in 1956, I think it was, or maybe it was 54, Congress got together, the legislature got together in the federal government and decided we're going to take this all the way back to the 1800s and make Ohio a state in 1800, back to the 1800s. We're going to retroactively make Ohio a state. Can they do that? No, they can't do that. Ohio did not go through the proper requirements to become a state back in when they were brought into the Union and so-called as a state. So they're really a territory.
So what do you do with it?
Say?
So what do you do with that? What does that change?
Well, if Ohio by law is not a state, which it isn't, then everybody that has been in office, all the presidents that have been in office that were voted in, that lived in Ohio when they ran for office, all of their actions are null and void. All of the congressional senators and congressmen that went to Washington, same thing. Every time they voted for, and if their vote was if it was a 49 to 51% vote, and 2 of those votes came from Ohio, then that law would be null and void. So it would create a problem in the country, but it's still, you can't bring a territory into the country without going through the process, through the legitimate, lawful process of bringing a bringing a territory into the Union as a state. So Ohio is, to this date, because the Congress didn't do it, they just passed an act. Remember, unconstitutional acts are null and void. And in this case, bringing Ohio into the state of into the Union as a state in 56 was an unconstitutional act and therefore null and void. Very clear. So that's the problem that we have. But let's go back to, there's nothing I can do about it at this point except bring attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
Bring attention to the corruption and the nonsense that has been going on in our legislature, and that we have allowed as people to allow this to happen.
So you got a friend there.
This is my lady friend. You're on television now.
Here,
She
okay.
wants to hide.
Hi, how are you?
You can sit right there. This is Susie Brown. She's been a wonderful lady.
I met Susie. Hi, Susie. How you doing?
Yeah, you did meet Susie.
Yeah. So nice to see. All of a sudden, I see somebody like coming in the background, and I'm starting to laugh. So nice to see you again, Susie.
We always need a little humor in our day.
Absolutely. Well, when you go back to that, I mean, think about this. It's like when we think about things like the proposals that passed in the last election, those are absolutely fraudulent, should never have been passed. And this is really not about defending people or defending the rights of individuals. It's all about agency capture and capturing parts of our government, usurping the jurisdiction and continuing. It's very parasitic, taking more and more and more and more. And you look at the unconstitutional agencies, which Norton stands against, nullifies them basically. And but look at how those agencies work. They've all been weaponized. The DNR is make no mistake, people, the DNR is clear cutting and managing the theft of the resources of this state. What I saw was complete as they're like having us look at cow farts and something that's that stupid, and giving additives to the cows, which I'm pretty sure are designed to kill people. It's not the way that this world is supposed to work. And the animals, people and the animals. Watch what happens. I'll bet you we will have so many health implications from this. It's not even funny. And by the way, I am buying some cows. I am so done with this. It's not even funny. And, I think everybody else should be looking into this too. And so I'm still on a mission for the chicken revolution right now to plant chickens all over the state. And the next project is going to be cows and bees and everything else like that. Because the big corporate farms are really, they're evil. They are evil. We do not know what we're eating. We don't know what we're eating in our food supply. And these politicians are about honestly choking us out and choking us down. And I think we've got a real problem. And I sure as heck hope that more people wake up and stand up. And if your neighbors don't know, your family, we had a discussion about this yesterday, because I had some of my my Anon friends over, and we were part of the research networks, and we've been doing this for years, right? And we got talking about it. yesterday and how everybody around us was rejecting what we were saying, and how we were saying that, say, hey guys, I'm telling you what, this is the truth. And people were just like, they didn't want to hear it because it's uncomfortable. Our people that we knew, it was like, boy, talk about being ostracized. It's really been amazing. I mean, I've had people turn their backs on me, just like all of us who are standing for the right thing, not just as a run for governor, but on a personal level. There was a cost there. There's always a cost to tell the truth, because people typically don't, they want to be comfortable. They want to be in happy places all the time. But we can't do that when there's evil, and that's how it sneaks up on us and it takes us out. We were talking about that yesterday, and how there's a cost to standing up and speaking truth, and we all have to be willing to do that. As we watch politicians are doing. The politicians are the enemy of the people. And just to stand by somebody who's famous or whose name is out there in the media and such, you may be talking to the very person who's out there that's part of this problem, who is working to kill you, like they've been doing it, and like they did it with a vaccine. Don't believe the snake's tongue. Get smarter.
Just a little side note regarding chickens. I have got 4 chickens.
Oh, good.
They're still chicks yet, but
do you need chicken help? So how old are your chicks? I didn't know you got chickens. That's cool.
10 weeks. 10 weeks.
Oh, that's cool. We need to see your chicks. I love chicks. Chicks are fun.
They are fun. They are fun to watch, and they are really a time killer. You could sit and watch them for a long time.
What kind did you get?
We've got a Wyandotte and Isa Brown and Rhode Island Red and a Sapphire Gray.
Oh, that's cool. Well, congratulations on being a new chicken papa.
They're fun. They are fun. We haven't gotten any eggs yet, but that'll be a while, but we don't care.
You're helping me with my chicken revolution. We're getting
there you go.
Now, John, we have a new person added to the chicken revolution. John is now part of the chicken revolution. That's awesome.
All right. I think we better move on so we can have
John,
a place to end.
Cows are next. Cows are next, John.
I don't know about a cow. That might be a little more than I can deal with. But anyway. I do enjoy the chickens.
Yeah, they're fun.
Okay. All right. Nor any state shall form by the jurisdiction of 2 or more. Oh, we already read that. Let's move on to the next paragraph. The Congress shall have the power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territories or other properties belonging to the United States, and nothing in the Constitution shall be construed as to prejudice any claims of the United States or any particular state. I want to make a comment here, but I do want to get on to 4 before we quit, because 4 is critical.
Well, Courtney's not there yet.
In this particular case, federal government and state governments are not supposed to own properties like parks, like fish, like lakes and stuff like that. And they're not supposed to be regulating those things. But they do, because we've allowed the unconstitutional organizations, the de facto departments to exist. But they're not supposed to be there. We didn't have game and wildlife before the '63 Constitution. That was in the prior Constitution. No such organization existed. They added that to the group. When they add these things to the Constitution in the state of Michigan, for example, they now take vast controls, and they can tax, they can regulate, and all that BS, which they've never had the authority to do in the first place. But again,
it is outright theft.
Yes.
It's theft of our rights. It's theft of our resources. It's theft of our voices. It is literally theft as they turn us into their little minions and their rule to dominate the world. Courtenay just popped up. I texted her, and Courtenay popped up and said, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you I'm in Geneva this week." So we've got a little more time here today.
I unfortunately don't have a whole lot of time, but
okay,
I'll run a couple more minutes, and you're going to end up end up fighting it on your own.
That's okay. We'll just end it when we're done. I'm the great thing is I can in fact just say, "Hey, have a great day."
Section 4: the United States shall guarantee to every state in the Union a democracy form of government. Oh,
what?
I had to do that to see how many people figured it out. A republican form of government, and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislature or of the executive when the legislature cannot convene against the domestic violence. This is the most important part of this part of the Constitution, as far as I'm concerned, because it guarantees a republican form of government across the nation. Every state, every city, every county, every village, town, and so on and so forth is a republican form of government. That means by rule of law, that means regulated as far as a republican form of government, not a democracy. Where the democracy ever came from, and we know why it's there, because the democracy destroys itself in time. It eats itself away because the majority rules and minority suffers is a democracy philosophy. And they can always get that 1/10 of 1%, like they did to get the 63 Constitution passed in Michigan. It was 1/10 of 1% that
Tell
got
everybody
that.
how that happened, because people still don't understand what happened. The Constitution we're under is illegal.
That's right. It was voted in by the public, which first of all shouldn't have been, because that's a democracy. When the public votes for this thing, it's a democracy. It should have been 2/3 of the Senate or Congress, and then we should have went after Congress for doing that. But when they turn it over to the public, they can play these little games. And that's all that's been going on for years. It's a close election. There's 2 points up or 2 points down. This particular candidate is winning or losing, or this particular act is. And so once you vote it in as part of the Constitution, such as the last 3 amendments in the last election in Michigan, that was an unconstitutional act. Should have never went to the public for a vote. And when it does go to the public, it can be manipulated and changed to whatever the Democrats, or not Democrats, whatever the government wants it to be, because they can twist the elections to 2 or 3 votes here, 2 or 3 votes there, and win. How can you vote for a constitution? And actually, it was the second time it went up for a vote. It didn't win the first election.
1963 Constitution. And what's the one that was before that?
I think it's 1908.
1908.
And that's the one we should be operating under, not the 1963, which changed a lot of stuff. One of the things it did, it said that in order to be a judge, you'd have to be a bar member for 10 years or for 5 years in good standing in order to run for judgeship. That brought the bar in total control of the judicial system in Michigan, because the bar members don't work for the rule of law. They work for each other. This is a closed system, a closed party that are working together to basically control what goes on in the judicial system. That's part of the reason we have the corruption we have.
Well, I really think that we need to go back and look at the titles of nobility, the original 13th Amendment, because
let's not go there. It's not in there. wasn't an
will.
original 13th.
I'm going to go there, John. I'm going to go there.
It wasn't an original 13th Amendment. That is in the Constitution. That's in Article 1. It's in Article 1, Section. We read that already once.
Right. See, I'd like to needle you once in a while. Get you all stirred up so that you will go into that area and teach people. Needle them.
Article 1, Section 9. No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, or no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of Congress, except of the presence in emoluments, office, or title of any kind whatsoever from the kings, princes, and foreign states. It's there. Titles of nobility were never allowed in our Constitution. Why would they need a 13th Amendment to do this? If it's already in there, it's already under Article 1, Section 9.
Well, why would they need most of the amendments after 14? Why would they have added
after 11? Even after 11.
But why would they have added any of them? So I mean, the point being is that I still think there's some validity to it. I'd like to. I'm at least open to exploring it. But
I had somebody come to our group and bring that argument out that there is a 13th Amendment that was eliminated, and I said, prove it. He brought a book, yay big, full of documents, but they were all about states. No federal government.
The question is did you tater them? You're wrong.
Well, we did. We did point out that this has to do with state rights, not with the federal government. Federal government has never allowed title of nobility, except we have allowed it because we have allowed the bar to come up with an esquire. As once you go through law school, you are an esquire, and an esquire is a step above the average citizen in our country. So we have kind of allowed it to happen. And of course, when we have a problem with the law, what do? We run to an esquire. We don't know what the law is. We have to have somebody help fight. That's where the problem is. We turn our whole philosophy into, or our whole thinking process, to what we call a, quote, professional. You have a physical problem, you run to a doctor, and supposedly the professional will fix your problem. But you don't take anything on your own self, and you don't take responsibility for your actions or your health. You lawyer up.
Charlotte is blowing up the chat and love here. So there's a lot to say this morning. This is great. I love you, Charlotte. This is awesome. So DNR has lots of pull. Jim Jordan is de facto. Nope, they can't fix Ohio. It's a de facto. Politicians are working for NGOs and not for the oath of office. Shouldn't be signing NDAs, but it did add give an inch and they take a mile. But it did add holy God to 1963 or 1908. They didn't have it before. Interesting. I got to show you something because that was the end of the fourth article. Do you wanna stop there with that, or do you want to continue?
Yeah, I want to stop because I'm going to probably have to bow out.
Okay, I got to show you a video right now. You want to see something that's going to burn you for the rest of the day?
Oh, just what I need. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, once in a while I got to needle you just a little bit, give you something else to chew on and be pissed off over. So meet Jason Sedu. I don't know how to say his name. Sedu, a school board member in Caledonia Community Schools in Michigan. When discussing policy which would allow the schools to refer students for abortions, he said the decision should be in the hands of teachers who can make the best decisions for the students. They think they own your kids. So listen to this piece of putrid puke talk.
I think option one, rescinding the policy, takes the politics out of it and leaves the interests of the students into the hands of our teachers that can make the best decision for them at the time. So
I love our teachers, but this is a parent thing, man. That's not the option for teachers.
Agreed. That was a dad. And this is the guy who, Mr. I know everything, let the state and the teachers decide whether your kids can have abortions or not. He's probably all about let the teachers decide whether they can genitally mutilate your children too, with the tranny juice that's going on out there and such. I mean, this is what these people are doing. And we need to call them out. Yes. And not back down from this, because these people are nuts, and they're taking liberties which they do not have. They do not have the right to do this. I basically, well, I said the next post, and I agree with this. I'm standing behind my statement. The school boards and teachers, which go along with stepping in front of the rights guaranteed by God or given by God, children being the responsibility of parents who have the right and duty to raise their children, and usurp the right by claiming ownership and claiming children as property of the state, need to lawfully be charged first with treason and second with kidnapping. They need to be prosecuted for this. Every one of them that are doing this. This is honestly, it's the same thing CPS does. It's kidnapping.
That's right. Usurping authority never granted. That's absolutely right.
And they're kidnapping children in order to mutilate their bodies, give them
mutilate their mind,
and wreck in their minds, brainwashing them. And then not only do they want their minds, they want their bodies. They want to kill the babies instead of dealing with the problem. Like, let's talk about some, integrity and morality. We had this huge discussion. We have all these great discussions, at the barn about the fact that the way society has gone, it's really teaching people to leave other people and using them for self-gratification. There's something to be said about getting into and being faithful to the relationships in your life, whether they're family, whether they're a spouse or somebody. There's something to be said about being faithful and actually having stable relationships with the people around you. And not just going to the bars, not doing all this nonsense that nobody should be doing, which leads to destruction, but actually just living a very nice, simple life, doing the everyday things which bring us fulfillment and happiness. We don't need these other things. They lead to destruction, personally as well as society. But at any rate, I wanted to show you that clearly. What's that?
Zinger.
Yeah, and this is right, Caledonia. I mean, this is like probably less than 15 miles from my house.
Jesus.
It's a cancer. These people are a cancer on this nation.
Yeah, they are. So, and with that said, I'm going to have to say goodbye.
Okay, can you stay for prayers a minute or not?
Yeah, okay, we'll do the prayer and then I got to get out.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so very much for John and Susie and all the wonderful patriots that are out there, serving this nation. I'm so thankful every day for what you've given us to do, the work that you've given us to do with our hands, and the beautiful earth that you've given us to serve you in. This is not about us. This is all about you. And we want to follow you. Please make our path straight, that we would clearly see what it is that you're asking us to do. And so keep our eyes on you. Help us to keep our eyes on you. We want to follow you. Sometimes it's hard to do because there's so many things going on in the world that distract us and such. But the main thing is we need to keep our eyes on you. And we're very thankful that you bear with us in our times of weakness and when we do get distracted. But you always are there for us, and we always can come back to you. And you're just waiting for us to ask and to have a conversation with you in a relationship. And we're thankful for that. We're thankful that you made a way for us through your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. We're very thankful for that. Please bless everyone out there. Let them know they're not alone and that there's a wonderful, wonderful plan in place. It's your plan. And we're thankful for that. You've been a great friend to us, and we want to be a wonderful friend to you too. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray, amen. So with that said, I go to brandenburgforgovernor.com because I'm the best non-conceder who has ever not conceded in the history of the United States. And I would like to have a discussion with the real president, the rightful president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, about that someday. But anyhow, have a great day today. Make it a wonderful day. God bless you all. God bless all those whom you love, and God bless America. Have a great day. And we will see you tomorrow with Liberty Essentials. And I think I've got Dan Cummings on tomorrow. And say a prayer for Courtenay. She's out there in Geneva, which is a little crazy right now. I know that she does need some support. She said the bills that are going out there are just tremendous. And so anyhow, if you can go to her Give, Send, Go, I posted it before, do that. And I'm going to let John go, and we're going to end the broadcast, and we'll see you tomorrow. So have a great day.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.